Hey guys, we are here for the series finale, the final hurrah of How to Get Away with Murder. I have to admit, I usually don't like the endings of shows, like the finales, they like blow me usually, but this one, this one's alright. I'll take it. But anyway, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, everybody who's been riding and watching. Thank you. But let's get into it. So it starts off right away. We hear gunshots and stuff, and it's in front of the courthouse. We see somebody's bleeding. We don't know who it is. Kind of, and think that it's Annalise at this point because it's like, excuse me. Y'all remember at the beginning of this, the season starting, it started with Annalise's funeral and all this. No, I think it's at the end of last season. It was Annalise's funeral, and then we saw Wes, and I'm like, what? So it was all confusing. And I must admit, I gotta give it to the writers. They got us. They definitely got us. So okay, it starts off where it left off last week. Hannah Keating, Sam's sister, says that she's committed suicide, but that shit seems kind of shady because she was just agreeing to testify on Annalise's behalf against the governor for the conspiracy who's been going after Annalise ever since those civil cases and the whole Nate Leahy shit. So trying to find the whole conspiracy. So all of a sudden Hannah's dead. And Tegan and Bonnie are talking, and Annalise, and then it was like, why did you tell Frank about his actual paternity? He's Hannah and Sam's incest love baby, so, and then all of a sudden they can't get a hold or find Frank. So we're like, where the fuck is Frank? So we see Frank got Hannah's, I believe her attorney, and he pulls up on him. He already, he got it bad for just being up in people's cars, just waiting on them and shit, all scary in the darkness. And he's got the lawyer, and he wants everything that he has on Hannah, or whatnot. So Bonnie pops up looking for Frank at Laurel's hotel. She's like, is Frank here? She's like, nah, what is going on? What do you want? And then she was like, then they had a little candid moment about how Laura goes to say, like, oh, I always knew that you could make him happy, and I wanted y'all to end up together. And Bonnie was like, why? So it can make you feel better for abandoning him? She's like, I guess in some kind of a way. Why? And then she thanks Bonnie and says Bonnie was the one who really took care of them. They say it was Annalise, but it was really Bonnie. I'm like, I guess, bitch. I mean, Annalise put a lot on the line for y'all, but I mean, Bonnie was the rider and doing the shit too, but I wouldn't say that like, oh, it was all Bonnie. Like, who do you think she was under the instruction of? But anyway, from there, we are at court, and Jorge Castillo is on the stand, and they're asking him, does he know anything about and Nate's there too to watch the testimony. They ask him, does he know the governor? Jorge says no. Asked, does he know anything about this conspiracy, about with the Nate Leahy and all this, the whole thing. Jorge is just lying. No, 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 no. Now, remember before, Nate had spoken to Jorge and asked him, or, told him about Xavier dying and all that, and told him that he needs to make things right on the stand. And then all of a sudden, this motherfucker get on the stand and just lie like a motherfucker. So it's like, okay, so his testimony is shit. So from there, we see. Oh, and then he has the nerve to be like, because they were asking him about his daughter Laurel and saying, is she truthful? He's like, no, she lied from when she was a young child, saying that she used to do cocaine, and then she lied in conspiracy, and with the other woman who's right behind her, she lied on me too, and all this talking about Tegan and how Tegan ratted him out and all that shit or whatever. So from there, we see who is it? Laurel, is it Laurel in them? Yes, Laurel and the Keaton Five, the original, and you know, Oliver and shit. They're all talking, and Connor is just down in the dumps. He's like, look, we done already lied on Stan, and Laurel's, you know, testimony has contradicted everything we said. Now we sitting here looking dumb, and now we got all this stuff coming out, you know, on us and everything. We might as well just fuck it. Let's just tell the truth and just get it off our chest. Michaela was like, hell no, I'm not about to say nothing else. And we just gonna let the rest of this trial ride out. And remember, at this point, Michaela has a better deal at this point where she's not getting any jail time. And Connor was like, and then Oliver's like, no, we gotta fight this and try to get you something else, because I don't want you to go away at all and whatnot. And it's for his, you know, 5 years he gonna serve in prison. But y'all, Connor was just tired this whole episode and just was over it. I guess he was just exhausted and just tired of all the lies. That was pretty much all he was this whole episode. And I'm like, dang. And then low key, Frank was crying this whole episode too. I'm like, dang, Frank, calm down. But he was going, it led up to a very emotional break within him. So from there, we see, it's Tegan and Annalise, and they're saying that they have some type of special witness or another surprise witness that's going to be coming out, and they're trying to figure out who it is. They're like, what if it's Frank? That maybe that's why we haven't seen Frank. Frank is like conspiracizing with the FBI and shit to take them down, coming up with his own deal or something. But I'm like, nah, Frank wouldn't do that shit. And then they're like, what if it's Gabriel or something coming in and saying some shit? Then, like, you know, Annalise's mind is just all over the place. Like, she just don't know who is this surprise witness, blah, blah, blah. So from there, we see then it jumps again back to the shooting. And I'm like, if they ain't gonna show who got shot, then stop showing this damn shooting scene. Because we see that Tegan is like horrified looking at whoever got shot. So he's like, ah. And then we see Laura is with baby Christopher, and she get up, she just hop her ass in the car because baby Christopher was already locked in the car, and she just tells her driver, drive and get out of there. I'm like, girl, damn, you ain't gonna see and check if everybody okay? I mean, I know she's a mother, so her first instinct is to just get the fuck away from the violence and shooting. And then inside the courthouse, we see Cicely Tyson, and Anime, well, that's her real name, Annalise's mom, and then Annalise's sister, and they're like, she's out there. Is it my baby? Is it her? Is it her? So I'm like, damn, okay. So she just gets shot in front of the courthouse. What the fuck? That ain't cool. So, and I'm like, but it's possible. But you know, that's just fucked up though. And then from there, Laurel approached. Then it jumps back to the court proceedings that are happening for Annalise's trial. Laurel stops Tegan and tries to ask, talking about some, well, my dad has put a whole bunch of properties in my name that are worth millions. If you could just help me. And then she was like, no, I tried to help you before, and look where that got me, girl. Get the fuck out of my face. I ain't trying to help you. So from there, we see Connor and Michaela talking. Connor's still down in the dumps and still just tired of this and just wants stuff to be over with, and he just want to go to jail or something. I don't know. He was just whatever. Connor was just like, ugh, the whole episode. And Michaela, he was talking to Michaela like, don't you think we should pay for the stuff that we done and blah blah blah? And Michaela was like, no, I don't think so. She was like, fuck that. And she was just like, I've already been to prison. That was my childhood. My childhood was so fucked up. My uncle used to put fucking cigarette butts out on my skin, and I ate bait before because my father forgot to feed me. And you know, she just had, you know, such a horrible ass fucking childhood and everything. And that's why she says that no, she don't think that she deserves anything else. I'm like, damn, Michaela, you cold. But that's just how she grew up. She's like, I had to learn how to bathe and read and do all this stuff for myself. And she's like, I'm a miracle that I'm even here standing and being as good of a person or whatever. She ain't that good of a person, but as functioning of a person as I am, because I've been through pure hell in my childhood, and I deserve something better than this. Finally, I know she finally got to Daddy Warbucks and stuff. You know, she's trying to, you know, spend that money and move up in the ladder of the justice system. She ain't trying to be in the system. So, but Connor is just still hell bent on, you know, the whole thing of he just feels so guilty and he just don't want to just be a part of nothing. He's just ugh. But anyway, so then we see Frank again. We see Frank again with the lawyer, and he's like, did the lawyer give him everything that Hannah had about his paternity? And then the lawyer gonna be talking about some, well, my attorney or my somebody, if I don't get back to the office within 20 minutes, they're gonna call the police and give them your name. And then he was like, I thought you said that you just gave me everything that has to do with my name. So you have my name now? You gave it to people? He was like, oh, so now I know you lying about some more shit. So he put a gun to him. He's like, I'm going to have to make a widow out of your wife on some shit because homeboy was lying. And he's like, oh, no, please. I'm like, boy, fuck Hannah. I know attorney-client thing, but when a gun is to your head, them rules has changed, okay? So from there, Frank just wants all the proof that he can get out of this fucking lawyer and all the stuff from Hannah. And it was her fake passports and all her other stuff that she had and some papers and all that. So from there, we see the governor, Governor Burkhart, whatever that bitch name is. She's finally on the stand, lying like a motherfucker. And they asked her, does she know Jorge? Does she know Xavier Castillo? No. Did she order for, was the part of Nick Leahy getting murdered? And she's like, no, that was Xavier, or that was because, and it was like, why do you have anything to do with them? She just lied, y'all. Of course she ain't gonna be like, oh yeah, I was doing that, because she's a fucking governor. So her whole thing was just a straight up lies, because she ain't gonna admit shit. So from there, they asked her, did she know Hannah? And then it jumps again, and she said she didn't know Hannah. So then it jumps back again to Frank, because Frank finally comes into the courtroom, and there's a brief recess. And Annalise is like, okay. She finds out. He's like, no, I didn't do nothing. Why would I hurt Hannah? You know, she was like, I just had to ask. So he's like, but I did get you this. And then it jumps back to what he got, the last thing that he got from Hannah's lawyer, which is a flash drive. And on this flash drive, during Annalise's cross-examination of the governor, after she done lied again and said she don't know nobody, and she don't know Hannah, Xavier, none of that. She don't got shit to do with shit. And she was taking blows at Annalise, talking about that sounds more like a conspiracy and all that murder and stuff. That sounds more like something that you would do. I'm like, bitch, you already sound petty. I wouldn't even vote for you. I'm like, this bitch got something to do with it. She sound off. So Annalise, what was on the drive that Frank got her? Oh, but before that, when she was talking to Frank was like, all I ever wanted to do is just make you happy. And she's like, that wasn't your job, Frank. He's like, I just want to make it right by you, because Frank has always been so guilt-ridden because, you know, he's the one that fucking, when Annalise got into that car accident or whatever, that was him, and caused for him to kill the baby that she had, which was also his sibling, that he didn't know nothing about that at that time, but that's just horrible. And then she was telling Frank, like, you know, you just got to let that shit go, because, you know, Sam played us all like, nobody know that was Sam's son. He was like, he used me and all this stuff. And Frank was just going through it. Like, my heart melted for Frank this whole episode, because he was just, if he wasn't trying to threaten to murder somebody, he was just crying and stuff. So I just felt bad for poor Frank, you know. So then finally we at trial again. So what's on the flash drive is Hannah talking to Xavier Castillo about the governor, saying that, oh, she got, I think she's like, she was behind the murder of, I think Nate Leahy's senior or whatnot. I think that's what she was talking about. And then Hannah was like, this was supposed to be about taking down Annalise. I don't want any other people getting hurt because of this. This was just supposed to be about taking down Annalise. But you have to be careful when you lay down with the devil, because he may have some other shit. And the governor is definitely a fucking devil on this motherfucking shit, because all this shit just to come at this prominent black woman. You're the fucking governor, and you got that mad because she took you down with all these civil cases and shit. It's crazy. And then what was pissing me off, I'll get to it. So from there we see from there, it goes to after the whole thing, and it's tying the governor to Hannah and Xavier, but she was like, "Oh, that could be fabricated or whatnot." But the court allows it to be played because it's humorous. You know, after the death of these people, she was like, "I would have them here, but they have Xavier dead, and so is Hannah, so they're not here to speak for themselves." And it's like, "Or are you gonna have me killed too? Like you might have probably had them killed." So from there, that blew up a thing, and all you have to do is create reasonable doubt about Annalise being this mastermind killer bitch that we know that she is not. She's done some things, but she didn't do that shit. So from there, we see detective or FBI agent Langford or whatever is coming at Nate Leahy again and asking him, "Oh, we want to make you another offer now that I forgot why they wanted to make him another offer for the wrongful death of his father." And then all of a sudden, he was like, "I'm not about to take no money right now because she want me to take the stand and pretty much say some other shit about because they want him to say certain things about Annalise on the stand." And then he was like, they were like, "Well, just look at the offer first." And I was like, "What kind of underhanded shit is this?" And they should be. I thought they was going to investigate these FBI agents. They ain't did shit yet, and these people still making all these underhanded ass deals and getting away with it. That's some just grimy ass shit. So they offered Nate Leahy Jr. $20 million for wrongful death on his father. But that shit comes at a price, as if he go on that stand and say certain things about Annalise. So from there, so we don't see what happens with that. But and then Gabriel is finally pops up on the scene. So it's like, okay, maybe Gabriel do have something to do with this, but there was no dialogue with Gabriel at this point. We just see him real quick, and he was at the courtroom, and that was it. So from there, we see Annalise sitting there at home trying to go over her cross-examination of her questions for Nate and everything. First she's talking about and she's just furious because she's like, shit, they offer him this money, he probably gonna take that shit and throw me under the fucking bus. So she was just gearing up for the questions, talking about has he come to her house lately and been violent? Is it how did his wife die? Is it because he probably beat her and all this other stuff, and then he's just violent and all this other stuff. Like, she was about to go in on Nate if it was needed on the stand or whatever, because she she fighting for her life. So if a motherfucker gonna get on the stand and lie about her, she gonna have to go in and get to the truth. So from there, she gets a knock on her door. Wait, is that what happened? Oh, no, not yet. What happens after that is Frank is at Bonnie's house, or him and Bonnie's house. I guess you could say he be living there too. And Frank has a suitcase, and Bonnie's like, "Where you going?" And he was like, Frank is just in a really fucked up headspace, even more so than usual after finding out that he is the product of incest, of a brother and sister, especially because of Sam and shit. And he knows Sam is horrible and Hannah horrible too. So it's just like, oh my God, these are my fucking parents. And then all the shit that Sam used him for and did to him. And it's like, damn, you did all these things. You were my father. It's just a fucked up thing to wrap his head around. He even goes to tell Bonnie, like, why would you even tell me some shit like that? He was like, you should have just shot me or something and killed me. If he was like, I just can't get over this. It's like, that's why Annalise was saying not to tell me, because how the fuck you think I was going to take this? And she was like, no, it's okay. We could work through this. And he was like, he just told Bonnie, like, I don't forgive you right now, but I will forgive you. And then he gave her a hug, and she crying, and then they kiss and stuff. And again, Frank cried a lot in this episode. But from there, he left with the suitcase. Then he goes to Gabriel's house and or apartment or whatnot, because Gabriel still has the keys to his old place, even though he's pretty much moved back to Chicago with his mama Vivian and shit. So in the suitcase, turns out, I think it was like $75,000, and he told him that he will give him, you can have all this money if you just don't go on the stand against Annalise. But I mean, at this point, we don't know if if Gabriel was even going to do that. But he was like, Gabriel was like, Sam was a bad person. Like, he killed Lila, and she was pregnant with his son and all that. Like, and then he was like, Gabriel was like, I don't believe that. He was like, well, you should believe it because I killed her and he told me to do it. He knew she was pregnant and I didn't. So he set me up to kill this girl and her child, and then he didn't go into as far as to say like, oh, we brothers and shit, because don't nobody need to know that kind of mind fuck. But the fact that he's, at this point now, Frank done killed 2 of his siblings unknowingly, and Sam is aware of this, and Sam is disgusting, and I know he been done got killed, but he should have had a slow fucked up death for the shit that he has done and put him. I know that he was fucked up too in the head, but man, homeboy was twisted, like, to do Frank like that and have Frank do these things. And at this point, Frank has killed 2 of his siblings, and that's got to ride on him now. So that's messed up. So he just told Gabriel that the stuff about Lila and all that. So don't be thinking that your dad is so great while you trying to sit here and get him justice. That motherfucker wouldn't have did the same for you. Or he was like, this is somebody who ordered for one of your siblings to be killed because he was aware that she was with his child. So from there, it jumps to Connor, and Connor just wanted to go to prison and just serve his time. I guess he's just looking for his atonement, and I guess, he want people to be down with him in this atonement. It's like, no, you want to be atoning yourself, then do that shit by yourself. And him and Oliver are got to get into this big fight because he was like, I need you to still fight for this. He's like, we could just make another deal and make sure you get a better deal or whatever. It's like, why aren't you fighting for this? And he I don't know if it happens at this point, but he says that he was at the library and he found out some shit that he could use against Annalise or use for the trial or something to help Connor and whatnot. And he was like, okay, whatever. He's like, I don't even want to keep doing this. I'm just over it. And then but Oliver's just completely upset because he was like, I want you to fight for this. Like, if you love me, you will fight for this and fight for us and all this and all that. And Connor is just not trying to hear it. So from there, the next day, we see Lanford, the FBI agent, offers Connor another plea deal, and he's already testified, so he's like, okay, what's the catch on this? And then he was like, oh, so now his new deal that the offer would be he would have no years and he would just get probation. So it's pretty similar to what Michaela's getting at that point. But they don't mention what the catch is at that point. So then it jumps back to the courtroom. Nate is on the stand at this point, so it's like, okay, the moment of truth. Is Nate gonna let it ride for the 20 mil, or is he gonna say what's true? So they go over the cross-examination, like, weren't you first accused of killing Sam? And he was like, yes. And they was like, why is that? He's like, because they always blame the boyfriend. And then he was like, but isn't it true that Annalise did Annalise frame you and set you up? Which she did. And it plays off just to remind us, because she did. She gave the ring, Sam's ring or something, to Frank to plant on Nate in the first place, and she framed him. And he goes and he says, no, she didn't. He was like, do you mean no, she didn't directly do it? Or do you mean no, she had shit to do, or she had some like an associate of hers do that for her? He was like, no, I don't believe that Annalise had anything to do with me being accused of Sam Keaton's murder. And then he was a little stuck because like, oh hell no, this nigga ain't gonna take this money and this deal. And he was like, so you trying to tell me that she didn't coerce you or trick you into doing all this or have you lie and do all this and blah 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 blah? And he was like, actually, no, but you did. You and FBI agent someone Lanford or whatever offered me $20 million to get on the stand and lie about her, about the conspiracy about the governor and all that, as far as with killing my father and all this other shit. So it was just like, whoa. So that blew that up. So Nate, that was a big fuck. Nate pretty much was like, fuck y'all, you know. And from there, they were completely, of course, upset. Because he said, he goes on to say that no, and then he said that even one of your FBI agents was behind the murder of Asher Millstone. Yeah, because people just kind of let that go. Asher was murdered, and ain't nobody really trying to look into that like that no more. And trying to say Annalise had something to do with that shit. No, that was your people and everything. And he outed that out. And Homegirl, the one that was working with Castillo's, he made that whole connection. He put that all out there. And once the jury hears it, they cannot unhear it. Okay? There was plenty of reasonable doubt already to me, in my eyes, for Annalise to not get accused of all this bullshit. They trying to trump up charges against her. So from there, we see Annalise and Nate, and then she was like, why did you not take the money? He was like, because he's like, oh, I'm still gonna get that money. So he still plans to pursue getting that $20 million, but he wasn't trying to get it like that. He was like, I needed to he said he was tired. He said that he just wanted to own up to the shit that he had been a part of. I'm like, yeah, but you ain't say nothing about you killing Miller though, because you did. But he was saying that in order for him to fully move on, he had to take responsibility. I do like that they wrote it like this, so maybe finally Nate was out of his like depression. He was like, I had to own up to it. And he was like, don't you want to just be done with this shit? Like, it's just too much. Like, it's gonna always hold on to you if you just don't own up to the shit that you've actually been responsible for. And he felt that, and that's why he did that stuff for Annalise. That's what he told her. And then he gives her a piece of paper. She's like, what's this? She was like, this is Wes's confession. I got it off Jorge or Xavier Castillo. And then, you know, she's like very touched, and then she cried a little bit, and then he's like, goodbye, Annalise. And I guess he was just gone after that. I don't know where he went, but he was just like, goodbye, like that was there, goodbye. And I guess that was him saying that's the last thing he was gonna do for her, and that's it. And what else? Let me see. From there, it jumps back to then Annalise is touched and all that, she crying, and then she burns the West confession. So she's not even about to use that shit. She don't want to, like, I understand because she went through all that, because Weston killed Sam to begin with, but she just don't even want to bring Wes's name back up into this shit again. Like, no, just let that boy rest. So from there, she gonna knock on her door. It is Mama and her sister. So they come for the last day of the trial, you know, before we find out the verdict and everything, which is good. I'm like, damn, man, at least you ain't gonna have your actual family there. Like, I don't know what her daddy at, but yeah. So then it jumps to Connor. Connor's still talking about he want to go to jail and shit, and he serves Oliver up. No, he tells Oliver, like, you weren't at the library, were you? You were talking to FBI agent Langford, whatever, trying to negotiate me a new deal. Like, you ain't slick. I know what you was doing. And then he tells him, FBI agent Langford or whatever said if he could, all he has to do on the stand is to say that he erased some photos of Annalise, some sex photos of Annalise and Wes. I'm like, really? They gonna still try to play that angle? Like, y'all let that shit go. And Connor was like, man, I want a divorce. And then he was like, what? No, I'm not gonna. He's like, it's just a few years. He's like, I just don't want you to leave me and all this. And he was like, no, I turned you into a criminal and you out here doing all this shit. And this never would have happened if I never came and knocked on your door. Like, Connor probably just feels guilty about all the shit because I mean, he got with him and then he left him, and then Oliver went off and fucked the homeboy and got HIV. So kind of probably low key feel guilty about that still on the low. And he's just like, I'm tired. He was like, no, we can get through this. You have to fight, blah, 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 blah. And kind of like, no, I'm done. He's like, I want a divorce. And Oliver's like, look me in my eye and tell me you don't love me. And then it was a long pause. And then he was like, I don't love you. I'm like, of course he's going to say that. He trying to push you away. So it's not more hard from when he got to go serve this bid up at the joint, G. That's why he doing this. So it kind of just tired. So he just tired of lies and tired of everything. So from there, we see Annalise and her mama talking. And then, they had that little heart to heart. And then she was just thinking, like, Mama, what if I'm not supposed to be getting off for this? She's like, you didn't do none of that. But she's like, I've done some bad things. And she was like, well, that's not up for you to decide. And it's up for the only person who can decide what you deserve and what you gonna get is God, girl. So it's not up to that jury. It's not up to you, and it ain't up to her. God got you, and if he decides that this is gonna happen, then it's gonna happen. But I know one thing about you, anime, ham hock bullock. No, just y'all know what that's from. When it's your time to show up and show out, you know how to show up and show out. So we just gonna get through your last closing arguments and stuff, and we gonna see what it is. Okay. So that was their little mama heart to heart talk. So I was like, okay, mama, set it straight now. Set it straight. Because people have gone to jail and gotten off for way worse. And she ain't killed not one person. Girl, at least go to jail for the shit you done did. And you ain't do none of them murders. So, okay. So we get to the closing arguments. The district attorney or whatever prosecutor is talking about some Annalise Keating is no victim. She's conspiracized and manipulated and did this, and she was the front runner of all this murder and all this stuff and all this, all the shit she's accused of. She did that shit. That's what he's trying to say. Then Annalise goes up there and she was like, homeboy, he right. I am not innocent and I am not a victim, but I am not what he is, nothing else of what he is trying to portray me out to be. Yes, I'm a bad person, and yes, I have done bad things. My whole life, I wore a mask. And she was like, I used to wear a mask to try to make people accept me for who I am, and I used to wear a smile and everything just so boys would like me. I used to do this, and I let go of the one woman who loved me because I just wanted to not be seen as gay. She went into a whole thing. She got changed my hair, and I did this, and once I got with Sam, I tried to make myself, I changed my name so it could sound more New English or some British or some shit, from anime to Annalise. She's like, my whole life I have been wearing a mask. I've been wearing these wigs and everything, and I've come before you today with my mask off. I have done things, but I have not done any of these things that these people are saying about me today, okay? So if I'm going to go down for some shit, let it be for some shit that I done did. Not be trying to just put all types of other shit willy-nilly on me like that. She said it way better than me, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So I was like, okay, Annalise, go ahead with your bad self. Tegan was just sitting there looking at her adoringly. And I'm like, yeah, man, what's going on with that? So then after she gives her closing arguments, she goes and she's talking to Tegan. And Tegan, she was like, do you think I was stupid for giving that closing argument? She was like, no, you were honest. And then she was like, Annalise, I'm in love with you. I was like, what? That was random, girl. She was like, I don't want to lose you. And I love you so much and all this other stuff. I know I can make you happy and all this stuff. She was like, I don't want to wear a mask anymore either. And I'm like, kiss. But they didn't. And I was like, ooh, Tegan. And then, she was like, I know I can make you happy. I can do this for you. And I'm like, she was shooting her shot, y'all. She was shooting it. Big. She was shooting it. So, but Annalise is just like, girl, I don't know if I could do those things for you. Like, and you deserve better than that. Like, you deserve more than someone who isn't certain if they can be, Annalise so broken and shit. So she was like, you deserve more than that. You are so amazing and all that stuff. And while they talking, Bonnie comes in, and Bonnie was like, they reached a verdict. I was like, damn, they didn't need to take a day of lunch. It didn't seem like it took that long for them to come up with a verdict. So then we get to the verdict, you know, and Elise stand up. Everybody stand up. And it was like, we reached a verdict, Your Honor. Hands to the judge. And then on the count of conspiracy murder of Sam Keaton, not guilty. Then she did the rundown. Rebecca, Miller, all that stuff, not guilty. Praise Jesus. The system actually works. For once. Okay? So, I mean, it was some bullshit in the first place, and they shouldn't. I'm like, are these FBI agents going to be investigated like Langford and Arnhem for all trying to bribe and have witnesses coerced and lying and shit? Where are the repercussions? That's what I want to know. That nigga should be arrested or taken down or something. So, excuse me. From there, we see Connor. Because it's the end, and the agreement that Connor had, as soon as the trial was over, he's going straight to jail. So Connor is getting arrested at this point. Oliver is like, Connor, no. And he was like, he gave him his wedding ring back. He's like, no, you're not going to do this right now. No. And he was like, he thanked Oliver, and he told Oliver, like, thank you for teaching me how to love. Teach me how to love. Show me the way to surrender my heart. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, it's almost done. Hold on, I'm almost done. But that just popped up there. Then we see Michaela. Then Connor's taken away to jail, prison, whatever. And Oliver's just crying and shit. Michaela tried to give him a hug. He was like, bitch, get up off me. No, it should have been your ass. You the one that should be getting some jail time, ho. And then she's like, and crying and stuff. Then I think she tried to call Laurel. Laurel phone disconnected and changed her number. It's like, bitch, peace out. So you have no one, Michaela. Ain't nobody fucking with you after this. So she's sitting there crying, looking all alone and shit. Then it jumps to Jorge Castillo in prison. He walking around and crazy. At first I thought he was about to pass out and have like a seizure, a heart attack, the way he was just like walking, the head bobbing. But then some inmates run up on him with the shank, y'all. He got shanked out, y'all. So I don't know who ordered that hit on his ass. Because, I mean, he lied about Annalise. I don't know who was trying to kill him in jail. I mean, he had a lot of enemies. He said that on the stand. So it could have been anybody. Who cares? So, bye, Daddy. He's dead. From there, finally, we get to the scene of Annalise's funeral. And I'm like, okay, y'all, explain this to me. So we see Wes walk up, or who we think is Wes. But y'all, we see Wes walk up, and then all of a sudden we see somebody talking about somebody who knows Annalise so well, personally, and work with her, and all this stuff. Then we see Eve, but Eve is old as fuck. I was like, how was young as hell? And then Wes leans over to say something in Spanish. And then it's Laurel, and she old as hell. I was like, okay, y'all, quit playing. So think now, I forgot the little baby Christopher. So it's like a fast forwards, how many, I don't know, years. But this is Annalise's funeral many, many, many years later. And I'm like, oh, smart. Now I get it. So from there, it shows us Eve is speaking on Annalise's behalf, saying how she loved her some Annalise. She ain't never loved nobody more. And I'm like, girl, I hope your wife is dead or something too, because you up here talking about you ain't never loved nobody the way you loved her. That's a lot of people, apparently. So she's speaking on that behalf, and then it's just jumping to certain things. It's the last like 3 minutes of the shit, y'all. They trying to wrap it up. So it turns out the Wes, who we thought was Wes, is baby Christopher, has grown up and looks exactly like his father. We know damn well that shit wouldn't have for real happened like that. He would have had something a little different. But, for shits and giggles and to wrap this up and confuse the shit out of the viewers, they wrote it like that. He leans over to Laurel because Laurel was looking back and she sees Oliver's at the funeral too. And she's like, and then she sees Connor's at the funeral. And then she leaned a little bit more, and standing by his side is Oliver. So they ended up, I guess Connor did his bid and they stayed together. So that was nice, I guess. I never liked them together, but it's nice, I guess, whatever. So then it jumps to Annalise. Salsa dancing with Tegan. I was like, oh, so did they get together? But I don't know. Maybe they just remained friends. I mean, they probably hit at least one good old time. The girl was in love with you. Y'all dancing and stuff. And I mean, dang. Just let her get some. But then it jumps to Annalise. Like, you know, it just shows parts of Annalise's life, what's happened. Like, you know, it shows Annalise at her mama funeral with her sister. It shows, what else? A whole bunch of shit. But in between that, it jumps again back to I don't know if the order of this, but this just all happened in the last couple minutes. Then it jumps back to Annalise at the courthouse right after the verdict. So I'm like, okay, if Annalise ain't dead, who the fuck got shot? So Annalise is giving her little speech or whatnot. This might be out of order, y'all, but damn, sorry. It's just from the dome, and I just a little bit of notes. So she's talking about as far as the governor and how she feels like the governor should be impeached immediately, and all this other stuff. Annalise is talking to the press. Bonnie's standing by her side, but then, and so is Tegan. Then all of a sudden, Bonnie got a weird look, crazy look in her eye, and I'm like, who the fuck is she looking at? And Laurel's off in the car by the car with baby Christopher still. And I'm like, who the fuck is Bonnie looking at? And then we see, who we see? Frank walking up. And Frank got the crazy eye. And he's sweating and shit. And then Bonnie is the only person that peeps this because ain't nobody paying attention. But she spots him in the crowd. And she's walking up. And Frank is coming up off this side because they said the governor was at the courthouse that day too, trying to, I forgot for what. But it was I don't know what the fuck it was for. But I don't know if it was against Annalise or whatever, but she was at the courthouse at that day too, with a similar looking color to Annalise's jacket. So that's why I was fooled. So she's walking up, Bonnie's looking like, Frank, no. And I'm like, oh shit, Frank, what the fuck you about to do, homie? No. And he whips out a gun, pow, pow, pow. And he shoots the fucking governor. And you know, they take his ass down because, you know, he knew that he was going to get taken down. You see, you can't just be up there assassinating governors and shit, no matter how dirty that funky bitch is. It wasn't the right way to go about it, but he was tired, and that bitch did a lot. And she probably killed his mama, even though that was his, you know, wasn't the best mama, but, you know, yeah. So the governor's down and shot. Looks like she's dead. And Bonnie runs and she's holding Frank because, you know, they took his ass down. And she's like, Frank, no, stay with me, stay with me. And he bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And Annalise like, what the fuck is going on? Everybody screaming and running. And then he's like telling to Bonnie, like, tell Annalise I just needed to make it right. She was like, no, you tell her yourself. Why did you do this? No, why? And Laura, that's why she was looking horrified, because she fucking saw Frank get shot and killed, because Frank didn't look like he was gonna make it. They shot him up a lot, so he ain't make it through that. And then Annalise runs up to them, and then Laura was just like, drive, and we already saw her say that to get the fuck out of there with her son. And then Annalise jumps down to where Bonnie and Frank are, and she's like, oh my God, why'd she do this? No, you know, and she's like screaming and shit. And then she realized, because Bonnie was so much in shock, she leans back and she realized that Bonnie is fucking shot too. And Bonnie is just realizing that she's fucking shot. And she's shaking and she going into shock. And she died right there with Frank. That was just so fucking sad. And I mean, these were just two little sad. Them was like, you know, Annalise's kids now. So she's sitting there holding on to Bonnie like, nobody stay with me. She's shaking and snot flying and it's just crazy, y'all. It's crazy. I'm like, no, damn, Bonnie, damn. So she got shot trying to jump in front for Frank, you know, but they were just very troubled people. They had been through so much, and I don't think Bonnie would have made it no way if Frank would have been killed. She probably would have killed herself, because she just wouldn't be able to make it without him. And that was just very sad, y'all. I was very, very, I mean, I just didn't see it going no other way for Frank anyway, because he was just too fucked up in the head for it. And like I said, he had been crying the entire friggin' episode if he wasn't trying to blackmail or kill. So y'all, so that's what happened on the court, on the day of the court, and that's who got shot. I'm like, damn, they had to kill Bonnie. But I mean, Bonnie be sad, so she wasn't gonna make it without Poe Frank either. They were just troubled and it's fucked up, y'all. Then just back to Annalise's funeral in the future times. We see what happens with Nate. Nate ends up getting that money. I don't know. They don't say how. It just shows Nate is in front of a rehabilitation center, groundbreaking, that he's going to put his energy and money into to help people, like his father who were wrongly accused and stuff like that. So that was a good ending for Nate. And like I said, we see Annalise, the life that she lived. It showed her how she had many partners through her life, and it didn't seem like she stayed with anybody, because it just showed her holding hands with men and women. So I guess she just had many lovers through the rest of her life and whatnot. And the very, very final scene that we see is Lil West, Christopher. He's riding through Middleton. I'm like, what the fuck why would he want to go to Middleton for school? Because everything started there with the Key to 5 and all that. And then he comes up and he comes into the classroom and he puts his bag on the desk. I'm like, oh wait, you not on the big desk. I'm like, oh wait, you not a student, you a teacher. And he has his thick Spanish accent, and he was like, today we're gonna go through I'm going to teach you a class or something, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to tell you about how my mentor taught me about whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it says the name of the class is How to Get Away with Murder. So it all kind of comes full circle. So I guess Annalise did end up being back in Christopher and Laurel's life, I guess. And that's sweet because, she loved her some Lil West and Christopher, especially since he ended up looking exactly like his father, even though we know that was the same character as playing him, and he's playing himself and his son and all that. But yeah, y'all, that was it. That was How to Get Away with Murder. It came full circle, and yeah, that was the end of an era. Viola Davis played it very well. Everybody, the whole cast, everybody, it was just I ain't mad at it. Like, most of the time I get mad at shows and everything. But this was cool. I don't like that Bonnie and Frank died, but I mean, it just didn't seem like it was much hope for them anyway. And yeah, y'all, if I left out anything else, I'm sorry. This is already long enough. Like, if I do remember something, I'll probably pin it down below. But I think that's it. And we're closing the chapter on this one, y'all. So thank y'all for rocking with me. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I will be reviewing other stuff too. That's it. That's all for y'all. Have a good night. Love you, love you, love you. Peace. Bye. Bye-bye.